Joining us, the governor of Arizona, Governor Ducey. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the state of Arizona. You obviously running for re-election. We'll get to the campaign. But where we are as a state, one of the things that I think we should be most proud of is the Border Strike Force, the idea you've come up with the DPS director, working with federal and local law enforcement. Tell us about this in Arizona and how it works and what's happening with it.
So when I came into office 4 years ago, we had a different administration in Washington, D.C. And if you remember, in that first month, we hosted the Super Bowl. And after that very successful Super Bowl, with the eyes of the world on the state of Arizona, with it really shining, with its success, I sat down with the Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary Jay Johnson, and I said, what if we had the same kind of cooperation from the feds to the state government to local law enforcement on the border? Well, that didn't go over real well with President Barack Obama. So we thought, how can we make D.C. listen? And what came was the Border Strike Force, and that really is the state troopers led by Colonel Frank Milstead, along with our border sheriffs and local police chiefs and law enforcement, focusing on the bad guys at the border, the drug cartels and the human trafficking. We've been doing that now for nearly 3 years, and the statistics have been staggering. The amount of heroin and illegal cash and weapons and other drugs like cocaine and methamphetamine that they've interdicted. It's been a very successful program, and now we have the partnership of the federal government and President Donald Trump. So I don't want to say that our border today is 100% secure, but there's so much more of a focus and attention to the illegal activity that's happening at the border, and that's a testament not only to the Border Strike Force, but to this new administration in Washington, D.C.
I don't think people realize in Arizona, unless you live on the border, and I've went down, I've talked with the ranchers, but people assume the wrong things. The cartels are coordinated. They have lookouts that are watching our police officers. They are intercepting radio traffic and watching what the police are doing. So it really takes a big effort to be one step ahead of them. And I think the Border Strike Force has done a really good job of that, haven't they?
They've done an excellent job, and you're exactly right. It is sophisticated. I don't know if that's the right word, but these cartels are big business, and they know where there is law enforcement and where there are gaps. And this is where a border strike force, the surge of badges and resources to the border with the focus. And today we have the National Guard at the border in the state of Arizona. Now, they're not there in a law enforcement capacity, but they are there in a support capacity. So paying attention, not neglecting, and acting with urgency and purpose has made a huge difference. There's still a lot more to do, but our policy going forward is going to be what it's been going backwards. We're gonna focus on the bad guys. Those are the drug cartels and human traffickers. Of course, the good guys, the people that want to do the trade, the trucking, the transit, the tourism. I mean, Mexico's our largest trading partner ×4. So I want to make sure we protect those relationships, but those are not the people that are conducting the drug trade and the human trafficking.
There's been such a focus on illegal immigration recently, and a focus on these children that are coming across the border. Most of them unaccompanied minors. Just in the past week, 18 people found in a truck southern Arizona, 2 of them unaccompanied minors. A 6-year-old found wandering alone in the desert, abandoned by these or human traffickers. And then recently, 57 people in the Arizona desert. So this is still happening here. What's your take on this immigration issue? And you just toured those facilities. What do you make of all this?
Well, first, the border security remains as important as ever. And yes, we do have these individuals that are taking advantage of these people that are oftentimes in the most dangerous of situations, taking their life savings, sometimes separating them from their children. I mean, today, what is it, 114 degrees? Arizona, it could be even hotter. You really take your life into your own hands if you're trying to cross the border in the desert. So we were able to view these facilities. I don't think anyone wants to see children separated from their parents, but I want you to know what I and Angela Ducey saw yesterday were a professional staff that were treating these kids with care and compassion in a very clean and comfortable environment, and working within the authorities. You know, you have Health and Human Services, you have the Department of Justice, and then, of course, you have Homeland Security in a coordination to put them together with their parents. And then whatever the circumstances, if they're here seeking asylum, that's different. They won't be separated from their parents. But if they are trying to cross the border illegally, they're going to be repatriated to their country of origin.
Let's talk about education. Matter of fact, I don't think you and I have ever had a conversation on the TV show or privately or the radio show where education hasn't come up. This has been an issue you've talked about for a long time. Mm-hmm. How do you feel now, this deep into your term, about education from where it started when you took office?
I feel like I think we've gotten a lot done, and there's a lot more to do. This is a #1 issue, I would think, for any governor. This is going to be your #1 level of investment. The recession was very tough on Arizona before I came into office. When I came here, we had a $1 billion budget deficit. We had to balance the budget while protecting K-12 education. And we had a lawsuit that had predated me that had been going on for years between the legislature and the education establishment. We were able to settle that lawsuit with Proposition 123, which was $3.5 billion in additional dollars to K-12 without raising taxes. We've been able to increase per pupil spending 10%, and our teachers are really making improvements with our kids. Arizona kids are leading the nation in improvement math and reading. In this last year, we were able to get a 20% pay increase to our teachers by the year 2020. This is something they have earned and deserved, but there's so much more to do in education. This is something where you're never going to check the box. We've got 1.1 million Arizona school children in our public schools. These are going to be our adults and moms and dads and business leaders of the future. We want to make sure that they're getting a solid foundation and that they also have options, whether they want to go on to college and pursue a professional career or the skilled trades, which is a great way to build a business, to build an opportunity and take a passion and turn it into a paycheck, or our military. But we want to make sure people are educated and that they have these skills and they're aware of options and they're exposed to them throughout middle school and high school so they can make a decision so that they can launch, whether it's into one of our fine universities or a career.
All right, so we're going to talk about what's next. In just a moment, the governor joins us for one more segment. We'll talk about the campaign, the next 4 years if he earns that term, and what happens next. We'll be back. Governor Ducey is with us. We talked about education. Let's talk about school safety, because you are being more proactive in response to what we saw happen in Florida and other places. What's going on with school safety in Arizona?
And that was a result of being back with the governor of Florida and him sharing in a governor's only meeting what he had to deal with in the aftermath of Parkland, and it was really horrifying. I thought there, but for the grace of God, go any of these governors. So why are we only talking about this reactively? Why don't we be proactive? And of course we want to prevent and avoid it, but I sat down with students and parents and principals and superintendents and mental health professionals, law enforcement leaders, and said, what does school safety look like? What can we do to improve inside our system? To kids, do you feel today? And we came out with a 5-point plan, which was led by something which is the STOP order, which is the severe threat order of protection. If you remember in Parkland, I hate to even say the guy's name out loud, but the perpetrator, Nicholas Cruz, had been contacted by law enforcement and social services 39 times. He'd been identified to the FBI by name, and he'd actually posted on YouTube that he wanted to be known as a school shooter, yet authorities said in the aftermath there was nothing we could do. With the STOP order, a Nicholas Cruz could be stopped before he did this. And we looked at the last 5 major mass shootings in American history. There was a tool in the toolbox of our Arizona Safe School plan that would prevent, avoid, or stop those shootings. That's what we want to do. It was a lot of common sense from a lot of good citizens. With the legislature, some politics intervened. We were able to get some of it passed, like more money for counselors and improving our background checks, making sure that a convicted felon couldn't buy a gun, or someone who had been adjudicated in a mental health case. But there's still more to do, and that's what I'd like to do in the first legislative session of the next term.
What has really exploded in Arizona has been the economy, and not just jobs, but good career jobs are now coming to the state of Arizona. What's next? I mean, what more can be done? Apple's coming. Some of these major corporations and other businesses are relocating here. What is next for Arizona?
Well, first, we've got an unbelievable momentum. We've got people flocking here from California. We've got 300 businesses in the last 3+ years that have relocated to the state of Arizona. There's a real momentum here. So I want to pour the gas on and keep it going responsibly, but there's some folks that have other agendas. There's people that want to make Arizona a carbon copy of California. I do not want to do that. People left California for a reason. There's likely going to be a tax increase that would double the taxes of the highest producers in the state this November. That would kill our economy. That would stop people from coming. It would actually raise the taxes of the people that employ many Arizonans and the people that have the most options on where they could move or relocate. Whenever I'm talking to a CEO, Mike, or small business owner that's considering Arizona, they're also considering Nevada or Utah or Colorado or Texas, or maybe not leaving at all. So we've got a great place to live. We've got great economic attractiveness. I want to make sure we keep that kind of state, and those are the policies that I'm going to be advocating for, and that's going to be the platform of this campaign over the next 5 months.
And it's not just individuals earning a lot of money. These are small businesses as well that taxable income in a high bracket. They're going to be paying an outrageous amount of money that puts them, what, the top 5 nationally, right?
It would make us one of the top 5 states. It would make us like a New York State or a Washington, D.C. This is not reflective of Arizona. People often came to Arizona. 70% of our adult population was born somewhere else. They came here to get away from something that was unattractive from where they were. We should take note of that. That's why you run for governor. That's why you advocate for good public policy. It's not only what you can get done at the ballot box or in a legislative session, it's also what you stop or say that would be bad for the state. And doubling state income, you know, when you tax something, you get less of it. It's part of the reason why people raise taxes on cigarettes. They want to see less smoking. Why would we double taxes on income? I want to see you make more income. I want to see your viewers make more income. I don't want to see them make less, and I don't want to push producers out of our state. That's Jerry Brown's California roadmap. That's not Arizona's roadmap.
So then the last question is it odd for you to be on the other side of the table, because you were the businessman that was being talked to by governors about your company, but now you're the governor trying to attract businesses. Does that help you when you talk to these CEOs?
Oh, for sure. I'm more comfortable talking to a business owner oftentimes than I am talking to a politician. I know what motivates a small business owner. I know where the incentives are. He or she wants for his employees. And all I want from them is to be wildly successful, because if they do very well, they're going to need to hire more people. And when you hire more people, our tax base grows. We have more money to invest in K-12 education. It's a very virtuous cycle. We've got kids learning more inside school. They're going into great jobs with these business owners that we have, and the employees are making more money. That's the state Arizona has been, and that's the state I want it to continue to be. So I want to protect and defend against some of these California-styled ideas that people are now trying to sell in Arizona.
Well, as always, I appreciate you coming down and talking to the audience.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Mike.
Governor. We'll be back.